children, I'm so glad to see you again. I'm going to read you a story, one of our favorite stories. But first, let me ask you something. Do you remember the names of the days of the week? Let's see. Today, the day that I'm recording this video, is the second day of the week. Do you remember what is the name of the second day of the week? Yes? Can you say that again? That's right, it's Tuesday. And can you look out the window and tell me what is the weather like outside? Yes? Okay, thank you. Good job. Now I'm going to read you the story about Mr. Strong. I know that you love this story, so let's start. Mr. Strong by Roger Hargreaves. This is the story of Mr. Strong. Mr. Strong is the strongest person in the whole wide world. The strongest person there ever has been, and probably the strongest person there ever will be. He is so strong, he can not only bend an iron bar with his bare hands, he can tie it to knots. Mr. Strong is so strong, he can throw a cannonball as far as you or I can throw a tennis ball. Now, can you imagine how far can you throw a tennis ball? Tennis ball is small, so maybe if you put all your strength into it, you can throw it really, really hard, maybe over the top of a house. But look at Mr. Strong throwing a cannonball which is big and heavy. Mr. Strong is so strong he can hammer nails into a wall just by tapping them with his finger. Strong by name and strong by nature. And you would like to know the secret of Mr. Strong's strength. Do you remember? Eggs. The more eggs Mr. Strong eats, the stronger he becomes. Stronger and stronger and stronger. Anyway, this story is about a funny thing that happened to Mr. Strong one day. That morning he was having breakfast. And for breakfast he was having what? Eggs. Followed by eggs. And to finish he was having, guess what? That's right, eggs. That was Mr. Strong's normal breakfast. So what do we call the meal that we are having in the beginning of the day, in the morning? Is it lunch? Is it afternoon snack? That's right, it's breakfast. After his eggy breakfast, Mr. Strong cleaned his teeth and, as usual, he squeezed all the toothpaste out of the tube. Now, why do you think he squeezed all the toothpaste out of the tube? That's right, because he was too strong and he only wanted to squirt a bit, but he squirted the whole tube. And as usual, he cleaned his teeth so hard, he broke his toothbrush. Oops. Mr. Strong gets through a lot of toothpaste and toothbrushes. After that, he decided to take a walk. He put on his hat and opened the front door of his house. Crash! What a beautiful day, he thought to himself, and stepping outside his house, he shut the front door. Bang! The door fell off its hinges. Mr. Strong gets through a lot of front doors. Then Mr. Strong went for his walk. He walked through the woods. Do you like walking? Do you like walking in your garden? Do you like walking in the park? Do you like taking walks in the mountain? Do you think they're good for you? Or maybe they're just too tiring? Sorry? Can you say that again? Yeah, I like them too. So let's stand up and take a little walk now. And let's stretch and get ready for the rest of the story. He walked through the woods, but he wasn't looking where he was going and walked slap bang into a huge tree. Crack! The huge tree trunk snapped and the tree thundered to the ground. Whoops, said Mr. Strong. He walked into town and again, not looking where he was going, he walked slap bang straight into a bus. Now, as you know, if you or I were to walk into a bus, we would get run over. Wouldn't we? But not Mr. Strong. The bus stopped as if it had hit a brick wall. Whoops, said Mr. Strong. Eventually, Mr. Strong walked through the town and into the country to a farm. The farmer met him in the road looking very worried. What's the matter? Asked Mr. Strong. It's my cornfield, replied the farmer. It's on fire and I can't put it out. Uh-oh. Mr. Strong looked over the hedge and sure enough, the cornfield was blazing fiercely. Do you remember what this word fiercely means? It means with a great strength and very wild. Water, said Mr. Strong. We must get water to put out the fire. But I don't have enough water to put the whole field out, cried the worried farmer. And the nearest water is down at the river and I don't have a pump. Then we will have to find something to carry the water, replied Mr. Strong. Is that your barn? He asked the farmer, pointing to a barn in another field. Yes, I was going to put my corn in it, said the farmer, but... Can I use it? Asked Mr. Strong. Yes, but, replied the farmer, perplexed. Do you remember what perplexed means? That's right, it means to be very, very, very worried. Mr. Strong walked over to the barn, and then, do you know what he did? He picked it up. He actually picked up the barn. The farmer couldn't believe his eyes. Then Mr. Strong carried the barn above his head down to the river. Then he turned the barn upside down. Then he lowered it into the river so that it filled up with water. Then, and this shows how strong Mr. Strong is, he picked it up and carried it back to the blazing cornfield. Mr. Strong emptied the upside-down barn full of water over the flames. Can you pretend to make the noises that putting out a fire makes? Let's do it together. 1 minute, the flames were leaping into the air. The next minute, they had gone. However, can I thank you? The farmer asked Mr. Strong. Oh, it was nothing, remarked Mr. Strong modestly. But I must find some way to reward you, said the farmer. Well, said Mr. Strong, you're a farmer, so you must keep chickens. Do you know what Mr. Strong is going to ask from the farmer? Let's see. Yes, lots of chickens, said the farmer. And chickens lay eggs, went on Mr. Strong. And I rather like eggs. Then you shall have as many eggs as you can carry, said the farmer, and took Mr. Strong over to the farmyard. Mr. Strong said goodbye to the farmer and thanked him for the eggs. Obviously, Mr. Strong carried all his pleases and thank yous with him. Do you have yours with you today? Don't forget to say please and thank you when you ask for something. Thank you for listening. Let's continue. Then Mr. Strong, just using one finger, picked up the eggs and went home. Mr. Strong put the eggs carefully down on his kitchen table and went to close the kitchen door. Crash! The door fell off its hinges. Oops, said Mr. Strong and sat down. Crunch! The chair fell to bits. Oh, Mr. Strong! Whoops, said Mr. Strong and started cooking his lunch. And for lunch, he was starting with eggs, followed by an egg or two, and then eggs. And then for his pudding, he was having... Well, can you guess? If you can, there's no need to turn this page over to find out what he was having. He was having... That's right, ice cream!